I'm searching for a spot to do this video at where no one will see me. Wish me luck. Hey guys, so today I wanted to do something different. I'm gonna keep just trying to push myself while I'm in quarantine here, and I tried staking out a really beautiful spot on this property, but a lot of things are closed due to COVID-19. Yeah, everything is closed. So I am just doing this right outside my apartment complex, but I think it's so important in this time to keep moving, keep active, and not to make it about necessarily exercise, but just like doing things that you like to do on your time. And for me, that's moving my body in a way that is both connected to calisthenics and to dance, and modern dance in particular. So I thought I would lead you guys through some really beginner exercises to help you feel a sense of awareness in your body and in yourself, and just to kind of tune out all this craziness, tune into your body, because that is something that we have control over. So let's just roll our shoulders. Think about the shape that your shoulders are making. It's not just an action, it's a movement through. It's not a destination, I guess, right? So I'm not just thinking of, okay, I'm moving my shoulders. It's how big of a circle can I make with my shoulders? That's what makes movement so interesting and juicy and opens up so much more potential, is when you can play with the concept of shapes, how wide you can make them, right? How small you can make them, how they can affect other parts of your body. So that's what I want to play with. This is gonna be a super random video, by the way, so just get ready to play, right? So let's move the shoulders back 4 times starting now. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I want to move the whole elbow, so try to make big shapes with your elbows. See how that affects the rest of your body. And now let's bring up the hands, bring them to the sky, and now let's go forward for 4 of these. And now let's do 2 of these. And now let's bring those arms forward. Let's do that one more time. Now with our elbows twice. Start playing with whatever you want this to be to warm yourself up. My hair is gonna be crazy this whole vid too. Now let's bring the elbows forward for 2. And over the top. If you aren't familiar with the contraction, no worries, it's been like 3 years for me. So when you contract, you're bringing the center of your body back like you got punched, but you're keeping your hips and your shoulders stacked. So it should look a little like this. This is not by any means as good as it should be, but it's where I'm at today. So pretend like you're hugging somebody, go into a nice contraction. Extend as far as you can, as much as you can, and the other side. And open up, and again. Okay, for our first exercise, I want us to come into this kind of primal squat position. So it might help to bring your arms up high or in front of you, but the idea is that your arms are helping to counterbalance your body. And if you kind of work from this position, you can get super low, super cute, right? But the idea is to track your knees over your feet, not have those knees too far forward, hinge from the hips, and pull back. And you can do so much movement from here. So we're gonna play around with, I think in day-to-day life, we can get really stuck up in this range, whether we're improvising, hooping, just moving throughout our life. And I think there's so much to be done and played with a little lower, and it works your legs like crazy and get your mind off all the craziness in the world too, if you're me. So from here, what I want us to try is to bring one leg up. And if that's too hard, just keep it down, try to keep the pressure light. You can do a lot here too. But I'm gonna play with bringing one leg up. You know, you can play with tapping it, kind of holding on to it, creating all these different ways and planes of moving in space. And you can also play with kind of fluidly moving it around. But what we want to make sure of is that we're tracking that knee over our toes. So this is going to be really basic. Anybody can do some version of this, whether it's you're keeping your foot on the ground but really trying to play in this space, or whether you're actually lifting the leg up like me. This is killing at this point. And then what we can do, you can take it one level lower or even hinge here. So let's start here. This is just a challenge for as long as you can. Just kind of play as low as you can to the floor. You can use your arm if you need to. That can be kind of a fun way to play with the space. Or you can keep it up here. Let's switch to the other side because my leg is killing me. I'll try to show some variations if I think of any, but for me, this is what calisthenics is all about. This is what movement is all about. It's about play. This is such a good time to play. I think we need to come back to that, those of us that get a little too serious. There's a lot to be serious about, but sometimes it doesn't help, and sometimes you just need to tune it all out and focus on what you can control, which is your body, if you work on it. So you'll see I'm doing a lot of twisting of my torso. That's something to really play with because it challenges your balance, and I think we get stuck in one plane a lot of the time. So this is a fun way to avoid that. And again, feel free to put your hand down if you want. You can play around in here, right? Okay, so next we're gonna go into a crouch, and I don't want us to get freaked out if it hurts you. Just skip this part, but I'm gonna go back to that primal squat, go as far down as we can, and now just rock your energy up so that you're sitting on the balls of your feet. So you can see I'm making, until that point, kinetic chain through my body. All of my body is stacked on top of my glutes, on top of my sits bones, right? And if we get really comfortable in this position, that's when you can start to have fun with it. And so from the front, I hope somebody enjoys this because I think this is so fun to play with. But from the front, what I like to do is you need to stack your weight on top of one side, because think about Jenga or something. The whole tower collapses if you don't have consistent pressure and balance. So we're gonna be Jenga towers ourselves. Move onto the left side of your body, extend that other leg, put your hands out like you're a trapeze walker. It's gonna give you some more balance, spread out your mass a little, and you can play here now. And if this is too hard, because this took me some time to work up to, play with just having your hands on the ground. Play with what that looks like. Continue to make lines in your body. Play with shapes. Nothing crazy, nothing major. Or again, if this is too hard, you can go back to here and play around with shapes there. Or if you're down here, I'm out of breath already. You can also keep that foot on the ground and just play with, how do I plant it? Like, how can I move in this range? So let's try the other side too. All this stuff today is gonna be quick just to make you familiar with it, and hopefully if people are interested, I can make it into a series on how to, firstly, get better at improv, which is something that I'm always striving for, and also just get to know our bodies a bit better. Whether you want to do something cool with this, or whether it's just a way to kind of zone in and meditate, an active movement meditation, that's great too. So let's take our left leg in front, stacking, right? Putting our arms out for balance, unless you want to get crazy with it. I mean, you can play with fun arm variations, right? That's when this stuff gets to be fun and a movement meditation instead of just mechanical, right? So you can play with, what would it be like if I move my body forward over my over my leg? I can't talk. You can play with different shapes that aren't necessarily part of the movement exercise, but are all about moving your weight different ways over your hips, right? So that brings us into the next thing, which is just moving our weight. So one good way to make your body more fluid, and whether that's yoga or anything else, is to just be comfortable with it. I think we get so uptight because we feel silly doing stuff like this, but I'm doing this in front of my apartment, so, you know, I've got no one to impress or explain things to but myself, right? So try to get really soft in your hips. Think as though you're stirring a big pot of like oatmeal or whatever food you can't get because of COVID. For me, that's basically everything. So let's just do that a little bit. Let's do 3 circles to the right. Just really sink into those knees. Now let's do 3 to the left. And now what I want us to do is kind of a movement game. So as you move your hip to the side, let your body kind of trace after you. Like a slinky, or like if you could drag a mouse on a laptop and it left a trail behind it, like a glow stick breaking or something, right? Leaving a trail. So you're trailing your body after your hips. This is super simple. If you already are comfortable with this, you can play with what does it look like when I keep that movement train going, right? What does it look like if I drag my body all over the place, right? But if you aren't as comfortable with that yet, just stick to here. Bring the leg and the hip side. Let the body move, and then side. And you can get more adventurous with it. Again, I don't want us to get stuck only moving in this front plane. We have so many elements and sides of the body and planes to get into and play with, so don't be afraid to make your body not face front. Like your torso, groundbreaking, can face a different direction than your hips, right? So play with that. What does that look like when you trace, right? It can be really fun. And I'm by no means somebody who's incredible at movement, but I find it super fun. So I'm always trying to show things that have helped me get better, right? So play with that idea of reverberation through your body. Feel free to just take the space to play with making shapes, right? And today we aren't really going to be doing as much of a practice as I am just going to be teaching elements, right? And then we can go from there. So this time what I want to play with is going from one leg to the other. Nothing crazy, something you do every day when you walk, right? But this time, when you're on the one leg, try to stretch out the possibilities that you have on one leg. All those movements maybe that are in the hip joint that's up. So let's play with that actually. So on our left leg, just play with all of the various movement patterns that you can use your hip. So we can do a full circle, right? If you need to hold on to something, that's completely fine. If you have a chair, that works great. So up when we're standing upright, you can move it in a circle. You can also cut it back and forth. Try to spell your name, even if you make it small, like S-A-M. But then play around with more interesting interpretations. How big can I make that S? Can I make a big A-M? Right? It's fun. So let's try our other leg. So let's start with those hip circles again. As I told you, this is a super informal class, nothing wild or crazy, but I just think this is so much more fun than going to the gym, right? And my legs are feeling it, so it must be working. So let's do our name. I realized just now that my name is Sam, which is a super short name, so I'll do Samantha this time. Give myself a bit more of a challenge. So I want us to move around a little bit on all fours. So to begin, let's just come back to here and let's just bring our legs in, bring our hands up if we can, bring our hands down and come back. So going from 2 legs to 4. Now play a little bit more with getting into the motion. Make it more fluid if you can. We'll just do a few of these. It's just to get us kind of warmed up a little more. And now let's come here, curl your hands back if you can, and we'll do a few toe taps. So bringing our hips up a bit, right? Just tap your one toe, then your other. We'll just do a few of these to play with. Turn to the side in that cat-cow position, kind of the four-legged position, and bring your knees up. And now you can stay here and just play with like one leg, right? But you can also play with opposite arm and leg. Try to keep, as you can see, a tabletop position here, right? We don't want to be like suddenly like this, right? Until later. So just do a few of these again. It's just about play. It's not about measured amounts. And you can start to play with, okay, what does it feel like when I extend, right? Ooh, hard for me. Let's do a few more. One more, let's do one more. Okay. So as you can see, that's just opening up a lot of different movements than you just get when you do push-ups or squats or whatever. It's a lot more to play with, right? So going back into this, it's also super hot, so pardon my hair, I just showered, but it's already vile again, is the idea of coming through from this four-legged position, opening up our body. So what you can start with is just this. You rotate onto one side. Let's say your right hand is down, your right leg will extend, your left hand can reach to the sky or towards your leg or whatever you want. But it's opening up this side body and just creating movement in a position that not many of us get to probably on the day-to-day. So you can start here. This is a great kind of primal movement that I just find super enjoyable and just, it's fun to add into a yoga practice. You can start to push your hips up, right? And then from here, you can kick these legs up to get you back over to this side. So a little like this, you add a little hop in, which is fun. Add some more movement. You can make it a little bigger. Let's do a few more. So I want us to work through kind of sweeping our leg, moving our legs. So to start with, just take some nice gentle swings of the leg. Should feel like a pendulum, right? So when I go to the side, just keep it really pulled up. Think about all your weight stacking. It's fine to use a chair if you need. Let's do the other side, just a few swings. Again, nothing in this video is gonna be very specific or certain amounts. I just want us to move, kind of shake out all the craziness that we've been having, and just enjoy movement for movement's sake, not about reps, right? Let's go back to this leg. Just swing it. If you're holding on to something, just pull up through your midline. But for those of us at home, just swinging, just swinging. This is great for warming up those hips. Let's do side to side. So opening and closing your body, right? Open and close your body. Other side. Nice. I think a nice exercise is moving forward on one leg and trying to reach around and tap the back one. It's kind of like a running, if you were running to something. Tapping the back leg just makes it more difficult, right? So try to reach forward, counterbalance, grab your other feet, your other foot, and go to this side. So you see if I move around this way, the position I'm in is one like this, right? So if I move from the side, let's do it again. Just follow me. Right? So that's a fun one. And one more thing that we can play with, and this is advanced, I would say, but I think it's really fun. It goes back to the idea of crouching. You can grab one of your legs. I'll show the advanced and then I'll show a variation. Is when we come down, woo, we can pop all the way up so that we are balancing on one leg. And like what we did, this is a similar idea except for you have that full transition down, and from there you can really play. My things that I always say are squeeze your midline, squeeze your thighs together, pull up through your upper body, stack your weight. Now I want to show the variation. So instead of grabbing and going down, you could come to here, put your hands down, and then slowly lower. Oh my goodness. So you could, again, come to kind of that crouch position, bring up your right leg, drop your hands if you have the ability to, or use yoga blocks, and then come down to a crouch. Or you could just continue to work on building up strength by going as low as you can in that crouch position, right? Super cute stuff. So now let's try the other side, whatever variation you want to do. So stack, squeeze your midline, stay on top of your right side, and we'll go down. And honestly, the main thing you need to do is just practice and work on balance. But this is so fun. It reminds me of if you walked on one of those trapeze lines, right? This is how you do it. Slack line, that's the word I'm looking for. But from here, again, you can play with all sorts of shapes. Maybe even sneak that leg behind, right? You can do some fun stuff there. So showing from the side. So pretty fun, definitely one to try out. And you can see, like, when I move, I'm having to move my weight so that I can keep exploring, right? Or else I'm gonna fall. Last thing we're gonna try is something that I used to do in Momix, shout out. It's called the bug. So extend your right leg. If you can't extend it fully, if it's like this, that's totally cool. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna play with crawling from one side of the body to another. So I'll kind of show that back in case this is something, you know, if you haven't tried to be a bug before, this might be your first time. So think about your hands as, again, a quadrupedal animal that uses its arms just like its legs, right? So keep your weight over both and crawl your hands to the side. So you can play just in here, crossing your hands, and get a little bit more, let's just start with that, getting a little bit more open with the movements, playing around with maybe the head. You can get really fun, really funky, right? I'm just waiting for one of my neighbors to come by and be like, who is this girl coming down into a bug, crawling over, replacing our legs, crawling over, replacing our legs. And this is a great movement step if you're on the floor anyway. Something of this variation, maybe not exactly like this, but it's really fun to play with. So let's go over back to this side. And one other thing you can do, of course, we can come here and play with it, kind of more up. But you can also kick those legs, right? So we can add a leg kick back in. Right? Kind of cool. And then go back to the other side. So that's just a super fun thing to play with. When you're playing on the floor, you don't want it to get monotonous. You want it to have a lot of different textures. Like a sound wave, you want it to go up and down in terms of height. I'll be up here, I'll come down here, I'll jump, go high again. So that's kind of our class for today. Nothing too crazy, just a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed.